One major development going on now involves more to do with Rachel Zegler and her attitude towards South Park Studios and Paramount after learning about what they are planning for their upcoming special called the DEI Special.
Nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks. They're mad at South Park because they're making fun of their woke ideologies, constantly race swapping or religion swapping everything in their movie.
You check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there.
Oh, not again.
Yeah, only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the Patriot.
South Park's latest joke has, within days, sent Hollywood scrambling and industry teams into chaos, because the joke wasn't just about Disney's latest PR disaster, it was aimed directly at Rachel Zegler, the newest face of the Snow White remake, and she declared war. Armed with a $100 million lawsuit, Zegler is taking on South Park creators Trey and Matt Stone, claiming their savage parody didn't just mock her, it shattered her career. It was billed as just another wild South Park special, crude, chaotic, and unapologetically offensive. But when the DEI-themed episode dropped, it was a direct and scorching satire of Hollywood's obsession with diversity, equity, and inclusion, and Disney's latest disaster of the live-action Snow White remake.
And what they recently did toward both Zegler and the Disney Company for their Snow White film. It turns out that both Trey Parker and Matt Stone are already preparing for the DEI special.
It's a brand new exclusive event with all your favorite South Park characters.
Dude, school is going to be so awesome today.
I had explosive diarrhea all night.
I like big boobs.
Oh, hamburgers. How does this even make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. I think the problem is you.
The animated parody featured a fictionalized Rachel Zegler, portrayed as a smug, self-righteous diva gleefully rewriting fairy tales, draining studio budgets for empowerment snacks, and belting out songs about dismantling the patriarchy. The episode, classic characters were replaced one by one with diverse versions who complained about equality and scolded anyone who disagreed.
The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway, and that's when I started to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced. And finally, I want to scream, and I'm like, why are they replacing every single character with someone who is diverse? But then Kitty's like, it's not our fault, it's because of Kathleen Kennedy. But then Kathleen Kennedy's just like, make it more lame. And everyone in town is like, no, please, Kathleen Kennedy, stop ruining everything. But Kathleen Kennedy has put another woman in it, make it more. And the Disney stock just keeps going down and down and down. And then Bob Iger is all like, no, what's going on with my stock?
No, make it more lame. That is exactly what they're doing. And that is why we hate the diversity, equity, and inclusion casting and writing in movies.
The town's reaction mirrored what many online critics have said about the current state of Hollywood. Every beloved character being swapped out in favor of forced representation.
You think it's perfectly normal that Cartman is suddenly a black woman?
You probably don't like that Indiana Jones got replaced by a female either, huh? Probably have a problem with Black Spider-Man.
The episode became the symbol of what South Park framed as Hollywood's tone-deaf crusade to fix what no one asked to be fixed. To some, it was hilarious. A biting commentary on how far the entertainment industry had strayed from storytelling in pursuit of politics. But to others, especially Zegler and her team, it felt personal. And while the internet laughed, something much bigger was quietly brewing behind the scenes. Rachel Zegler soon went silent, but that silence didn't last. Days later, she reappeared, not with a clapback post, but with the full force of a public meltdown. In a string of emotional appearances and carefully curated interviews, she described the parody as cruel, targeted, and intentionally humiliating. But this wasn't Zegler's first time clashing with public perception. Ever since landing the coveted role of Snow White, she had stirred controversy with her bold opinions and stuck-up press tour moments.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power and what a woman is fit for in the world. And so when we came to reimagining the actual role of Snow White, it became about the fairest of them all, meaning who is the most just and who can become a fantastic leader. And the reality is, Snow White has to learn a lot of lessons about coming into her own power before she can come into power over a kingdom.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business.
Critics called her ungrateful and arrogant for repeatedly trashing the original film and distancing herself from Disney's legacy.
And this started with the movie star Rachel Zegler, who I believe would be categorized as a loudmouth dope.
No, the people who you need to entertain, the people who you need to serve, the people who pay
your salary.
She spoke about rewriting the character to be a leader rather than a dreamer, and openly mocked the idea of a princess who falls in love. These comments didn't land well with traditional fans, and the internet didn't forget.
God forbid a woman dream about true love. We're all just sitting around here, maybe I could be president one day. I hate that. I just want to be president. That screams Disney princess. Oh my God, I'm literally getting enraged. Once again, I feel like I'm back in 2022.
So when South Park came for her, it wasn't out of the blue. It was a direct response to the very image she had projected. But for Rachel, it was a breaking point. She described suffering panic attacks, losing job offers, and feeling trapped by a cartoon version of herself that she claimed distorted everything she stood for. Her team quickly pivoted into crisis mode, launching a PR plan that included late-night interviews, heartfelt monologues, and op-eds about the emotional toll of being turned into a viral joke. What shocked Hollywood wasn't just her reaction, it was how serious it became. Rachel Zegler was preparing to sue. She wanted $100 million. Suddenly, what began as a satire segment had morphed into a legal issue threatening to explode onto the heart of the entertainment industry. When the legal filing hit the newswire, it sent shockwaves across Hollywood. The filing against Trey Parker and Matt Stone accused the duo of deliberately targeting Zegler in a way that went far beyond parody. Her legal team argued that the animated portrayal wasn't just exaggerated, it was malicious. They claimed it painted her as a narcissistic tyrant who single-handedly destroyed a beloved franchise, and that this fictional theme had real-world effects. According to the complaint, casting opportunities vanished suddenly. Studio executives allegedly viewed her as radioactive, unwilling to risk the backlash that now followed her name. One anonymous producer quoted in the lawsuit allegedly said, "We'll wait until the noise dies down, if it ever does." For Zegler's team, this was proof of damage, not just to her reputation, but to her career trajectory. They weren't suing over feelings, they were suing over lost income, blacklisted opportunities, and what they described as the weaponization of comedy. Parker and Stone, known for getting everyone from political leaders to religious icons, had never faced this kind of legal pressure before. Yes, they'd been sued, but never for this reason. Their legal defense moved fast, arguing that satire, no matter how pointed, was constitutionally protected. But Zegler's team countered with a bold assertion. This wasn't a general joke about woke culture. It was an attack on one woman, portrayed by name, in a storyline that echoed her real-life controversy almost scene for scene. Suddenly, comedians everywhere were watching. The verdict of this case could redefine how satire is treated under defamation law forever. But another major player was also silently watching in the shadows: Disney. While the company wasn't named in the lawsuit, insiders say their legal and PR teams were watching with growing anxiety. The Snow White remake had already been a PR nightmare. South Park's savage parody only amplified everything critics were already saying, and now there was a chance those private production disasters could be dragged into public view. Sources close to the situation claimed Disney executives feared the courtroom might become a spotlight on their internal chaos. If Zegler's legal team subpoenaed any behind-the-scenes content, it could expose the extent of the studio's confusion over the project. Several former crew members even hinted at on-set tension, citing creative clashes between executives and cast, particularly over Zegler's portrayal of the character and the film's political messaging. Some industry insiders admitted that the South Park DEI budget joke actually mirrored real cost reports from set, where large portions of the budget had been funneled into PR campaigns and inclusivity consultants. While none of this was confirmed publicly, the possibility that the parody reflected real production inefficiencies made the lawsuit even riskier for Disney. Publicly, Disney said nothing, no statements, and no support for Zegler. The company that once celebrated her as the new face of its iconic brand now seemed to be distancing itself. But the reaction from South Park's creators was unexpectedly held back. Normally, Trey Parker and Matt Stone would have jumped at the chance to double down, spin the controversy into another episode, and roast the outrage in real time. But this time, they went silent. Their legal team advised immediate caution. Any public comment or joke could be used against them in court. And so, for the first time in decades, South Park stayed quiet. But the internet didn't. On one side, defenders of free speech rallied behind South Park, praising its willingness to mock anyone, regardless of fame or identity. On the other, Rachel Zegler's supporters framed the episode as a cruel attack that crossed every line of decency. Some laughed at the absurdity of suing a cartoon. Others sympathized with Zegler's claim that she was being bullied by a powerful media franchise. Was South Park punching up, exposing Hollywood hypocrisy, or going down, mocking a young actress caught in a corporate PR mess? Meanwhile, rumors swirled that Parker and Stone were sitting on a draft for a new episode based on the lawsuit, titled "Sue Me Gently." Storyboards allegedly featured puppet judges, enchanted courtrooms, and a musical number number about emotional damages, but their legal team shut it down immediately. Anything aired during the trial could strengthen Zegler's claims of targeted harassment, so instead of striking back on screen, South Park waited. But that silence only made the noise louder. When the case officially went to trial, camera crews flooded the courthouse steps. Protesters clashed with fans holding signs, some defending satire, others demanding accountability. Inside, the spectacle only escalated. It wasn't just a legal battle, it was a fight on humor in the age of sensitivity. Rachel Zegler took the stand first. Her testimony was raw and emotionally charged. She described waking up to viral memes of her animated character and experiencing sleepless nights that turned into full-blown panic attacks. According to her legal team, the parody had a chilling effect on her entire career. She recounted phone calls from agents who told her deals were being paused, producers who ghosted her, and friends who quietly distanced themselves to avoid controversy. "I wasn't just mocked," she said. "I was rewritten by people who've never met me." Then came the clips. The jury was shown select moments from the South Park episode. Her lawyers argued that the satire crossed into slander and that the show had crossed a legal threshold and created a damaging narrative that lived online forever. But Parker and Stone didn't back down. When they took the stand, their tone was calm but defiant. "We've always chased absurdity," Matt Stone said. "If people think a cartoon kingdom with empowerment snacks is real, that's not a creative failure. That's a cultural one." The episode wasn't about Zegler, it was about Hollywood, politics, and media narratives. The fact that it resembled real events, they claimed, only proved how ridiculous the industry had become. Outside the courtroom, public opinion was already split. Some saw Zegler as brave for challenging an empire of mockery. Others felt she was trying to shut up comedy itself. After 3 tense days of deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict that had lasting effects. South Park was not liable. The courtroom fell into a stunned silence before exploding into a media frenzy. The jury concluded that while the episode may have been crude and cruel, it fell within the bounds of protected satire under the First Amendment. It was a shock for Rachel Zegler and her team, who had argued for months that the episode had crossed from mockery into defamation. Outside the courthouse, Rachel gave a brief, scripted statement thanking her supporters and vowing to keep fighting for respectful storytelling in entertainment. Her team quickly pivoted to reshaping her public image and securing interviews to show her commitment to thoughtful representation and mental health advocacy. And Rachel didn't disappear. She landed a lead role in an indie drama, a move many saw as a quiet rebirth. As for South Park, they didn't waste a moment. Within weeks, the show returned with a brand new episode. It opened with a cheeky message: "To anyone who's ever wanted to sue us, thanks for watching." The plot featured a magical kingdom ruled by censorship, goblins and enchanted lawyers, an unmistakable dig at the entire saga. But the trial left a lasting imprint. Creators across Hollywood began whispering about the risks of pushing boundaries. If someone as iconic as South Park could be dragged into court over a single episode, what did that mean for smaller satire accounts? The entertainment industry found itself facing an uncomfortable question. Was satire still safe? Rachel Zegler's lawsuit may have failed in court, but it succeeded in igniting a debate that creators, audiences, and lawyers are still wrestling with. For decades, satire thrived on the assumption that viewers understood the difference between parody and truth. But in a world of deepfakes, algorithm-driven outrage, and viral misinformation, that assumption is rapidly crumbling. Zegler's legal team argued that younger audiences, especially those growing up online, aren't always able to tell the difference. A cartoon can become a receipt, and a joke, once it spreads out of context, can stick to someone's public image like glue. Critics of Zegler called her thin-skinned, but others pointed out that when satire imitates real life so closely and names real people, it can start to reshape their reputation. Her claim wasn't just that the episode was offensive, it was that it changed how she was perceived by casting agents, studio execs, and audiences. Meanwhile, creators now face a subtle but growing pressure. Jokes that would have aired a decade ago without consequence are now potential legal landmines. Some fear this will lead to creative self-censorship, a chilling effect where artists hesitate to critique public figures. Ultimately, the real stakes go beyond Rachel Zegler or South Park. The court may have drawn a legal line, but the cultural battle is far from over. In the age of weaponized viralness, even the best satire now walks a thin line. In the end, this wasn't just a battle between a rising star and a pair of fearless cartoonists, it was a collision between fame, free speech, and the sensitivity of people in Hollywood. South Park walked away with its satire intact, but even they were forced into silence, if only briefly. And now every creator is left asking, what's the cost of a joke in a world where reputations can shatter overnight? As satire becomes more powerful and public figures more exposed, the line between funny and defamatory has never been blurrier. One thing's certain, this won't be the last time comedy finds itself on trial.